Hey there, business owner. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. This is our weekly episode, and I'm so happy you are here. Let's get started. Hey there, entrepreneur. How is your week going? I am Annette Walter, and I'm the host of the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. I am really excited you are here. Our interview this week is with Natalie Chay, and she is the owner of Wild Soul Jewelry. And she's a dreamer. She's so creative, and you are going to learn so much from her journey. She is a young entrepreneur, and it's really always been innately in her, this dream, this vision, since she has been a little girl. And through her passion and just the love of the work that she does, along with the people that she does it for and with, really pulls her to the next chapter of her company as it grows. And I know you're going to love hearing about her evolution, and it's going to help you as you evolve on your journey. So thanks for being here today. I am loving the podcast. We are getting so many great reviews, so many wonderful interviews coming up, and past interviews if you haven't heard them yet. And as always, it means the world to me if you like the podcast, and you do that by giving it 5 stars and write something nice. That means the world to me, and you will definitely hear from me if you write something. And if you hit subscribe, you will automatically know when the latest episode has dropped. On Fridays, I drop an Entrepreneur Evolution podcast that is a business tip in 5 minutes or less. And every Tuesday, we drop an interview with another entrepreneur. And I interview really all different types of entrepreneurs, various different stages of the businesses, various different size revenue and employee businesses, and businesses all across the United States, men-owned, woman-owned, and just partnerships and all different types of things. So I know you will learn from what they are doing now in their business, their words to live by, and what keeps them going. So thanks for being here. Enjoy this episode. See you on the flip side. Hello, Natalie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am really well. You are great and adorable. I just love you being here. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here with the owner and maker of Wild Soul Jewelry, now Natalie Chay. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Oh, so let's get right into it, Natalie. Tell me about Wild Soul and your journey and how it all came about. This is like so cool. I love it.
Thank you. So I kind of have like a long version and a short version. I'll start with a shorter version that might lead to a longer explanation. But I guess the first thing I tell people if they come up to me at a market, or, if I'm meeting someone who wants to hear about it, I'll say it's kind of evolved. But right now, what I say is that I create jewelry that evokes feeling and connection to self and wonder. Mm-hmm. So my journey started, I guess, when I was a little girl. I'm going to be 26 this year, but for as long as I can remember, I've had a craft closet, like underneath the stairwell in our house. And when I was little, and I would go up there and like, I would always want to go to the bead store, and I was always like doodling and dreaming, creating like floor plans for a boutique when I was like 8 years old. So I guess it's always been part of me that I have this vision, and that I kind of just like beat to my own drum a bit. And then I got to college, and for some reason it just didn't. I think because I always played sports and I dabbled with like creativity on the side, it wasn't really in my head that I would, and I guess like my upbringing, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go and, do metalsmithing. And maybe I could have taken that step. I just, at the time I was like focused on lacrosse and this and that. Mm-hmm. So I ended up transferring a couple of times. I ended up at UNCW, and in the summers, I worked at Lotus Jewelry. So that was not too long of it. It was like 2 years that I went back and forth when I came home and worked there a summer and one Christmas season. But I learned some skills. I just walked in and I said, like, this is what I want to do. Like I felt like Courtney, the owner, really was a word that I used. It was like my expander. someone who kind of like showed me that what I saw for myself was possible. And she had that life. So yeah, I just kind of did all the jobs that everyone that had all the skills didn't want to do. And, you have to start somewhere. So I did that. And then I had a couple of design internships in college. And then I worked with kids and taught jewelry alongside some other like talented artists. So it kind of just evolved. By my senior year of college, I started to do makers markets at pop-ups at breweries. So that really turned into like a long explanation, but that's where I got to the point where I graduated, and I just knew that I didn't want to, I had a teaching degree. So I kind of always knew that really wasn't even what I wanted in the end. I think still I love kids. I could fall back on it. I'm kind of a teacher maybe, but yeah, I just knew that I needed to pursue it. So I kept going by getting in as many markets, reaching out to people through email, really advocating for myself, and, working as a barista and a nanny on the side, substitute teaching here and there.
That's great. And there is so much in that story just alone. I think the one thing that's glaring at me is that you found a mentor. You saw someone in that space that really was like, I want to be like her when I grow up. I want to learn from her. I want to do any single job that I can do here just to learn, and someone who is a great role model. And that's important when you can find someone like that, or even just someone, I don't know if you're still in touch with her or not, but you get to really learn from that person. That person just kind of sticks with you and stays with you. And you're like, she was a good person, that I like that,
Totally. And I just, like even reflecting on just the moments we did have one-on-one together, if I was helping her, like, shine some jewelry for a trade show or whatever it was, we would just get to talking, and I got to hear her journey. And it's funny now, like reflecting on her telling me those things, it kind of, I'm nowhere near where Lotus Jewelry is, but I am like on my own path, and I'm constantly just like adapting and growing and figuring things out.
Right.
That's all you really can do.
That's great. So the next part that I love is that you really were your best advocate, and you were doing the outreach, and you really found your niche at these different kind of markets, right?
Right.
And starting to work there. So what did that work feel like when you were in the beginning stages?
It felt, so I was living at home the first year. It felt like I had to, I hear my dog crying in the background.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You might hear mine in a second.
Like, mommy's busy.
I know.
But it felt like I kind of had to prove myself in a way. It's like I always knew that no matter what, I believe in myself. And I think that's something that all entrepreneurs, if they're doing something that's really aligned with the right purpose, which I think has to be there. It can't just be like, I want to make money. I don't think that generally is the way. But yeah, it felt like I really had to, like, I don't know, I felt really inspired and constantly was just like very intrinsically motivated. So, I would be searching makers markets, and, every opportunity felt like something special. But I also really quickly learned that, like, you don't have to say yes to everything. And I have a pretty strong intuition. So if I got an opportunity and I just didn't really feel like it was that aligned, then I wouldn't. From the start, I think I kind of knew where I wanted to be, what space I wanted to be in, and what my demographic is. And there's a lot of business, I guess, verbiage that I'm not really familiar with still. And, I'm kind of like, okay with knowing that I could know more. I know that I could get there, but I just kind of have these like feelings deep within me. So I don't know. It was scary at times. Like reaching out to a huge magazine. I reached out to one recently, and I ended up doing a giveaway with them. So you never know what can come up from advocating for yourself. even if you don't get the opportunity, I mean, you put yourself out there and one thing leads to another. So
It's so true. And it is, we talk all the time in the Entrepreneur Evolution Facebook group and here on the podcast about that 20 seconds of courage. And sometimes it just takes that 20 seconds of courage to hit send or
no.
make the ask. And, most entrepreneurs really do lead with their gut. And it's innately in us. It's just something that, it's almost like that sixth sense of, okay, I'm on the right path or I'm not on the right path. Something is not right here. It's like that radar, right? That entrepreneurial radar that is just so hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how open you are to saying, I don't know it all. Like I don't, but I know what to say yes to, and I'm not afraid to say yes, and I'm not afraid to say no, and I'm not afraid to ask. And that's amazing, like advice right there in a nutshell.
Thank you.
So catch us up to speed, Natalie. Like what does the company look like to date, and what are some major things at hand that you're excited about?
So today my business it's a little bit, it's kind of like in the process of a revamp right now.
Okay.
So I built my own website with the help from Sarah Koch, who know.
She's been on the podcast. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
SK Solutions. She is amazing. My go-to girl.
Yeah, she's awesome and just like gets something done. She has a task, she has a vision, she can really pull through. And I'm lucky to know her through my boyfriend Corey, who helped me also a lot. And their whole family has just like totally like, I don't even know. They've always just had my back, supported me, and are like, go after it. They always, I feel like the whole family motivates each other to do their own thing.
They're very entrepreneurial. They're a smart bunch.
They really are.
And so kind.
I know, they really are. So yeah, I had my own website, or I started this website. And I love connecting in person. I think it's a great way to kind of like experience the jewelry, feel it, the whole sensory experience around that. So I did a lot of makers markets, and I think that's how I grew my brand organically. And for anyone, a business owner who thinks maybe you need a lot of followers or you need like this perfect grid, I mean, I think there's some truth to having a really consistent grid, but I will say I am not that kind of person. I kind of just, I think that having organic people, meaning like people who are really drawn to your stuff, are going to share it repeatedly, be your customer, spread the word, aligned with their values. And that's kind of how I grew the business. And then I've done a couple giveaways, which are really beneficial, I think, if you're linking up with the right people. And then online. So every time I got an online order, so it started, I guess, 2 years ago in September was when I launched the website. And, the first, like getting your first orders, it's like, oh my God, these people like want to buy my stuff. Like this is happening right now. Like it was so cool. And then, I can look back at my analytics, and presently, because of the pandemic, all of my in-person makers markets kind of were on hold for a bit. So I started doing virtual makers markets through my Instagram, and my online sales went up. So for me, I kind of saw this time as an opportunity to really change and grow my business into more of really what I want, which is something that I can, totally be flexible with my schedule and, cultivate whatever I need when I need it through my phone. So.
So what is the, how would you describe, and what would be your advice right now to those in the e-commerce space?
So I think you need to know, your product, believe in your product, obviously. And you just need to get creative right now. I think it's really easy. And I see the perspective of people who are, or literally people have lost their jobs. So there's a lot going on. But I think that if you are an e-commerce business, then you need to get on Instagram and you need to find a way to connect with people because they're on their phones, they're still wanting an experience. So it just needs to be very authentic. And I don't know, like you just need to get out there and really get creative with it, because that's, if you can't like adapt to something, then I don't know, like you got to have that drive in you right now. I don't know if that's a
Well, the curiosity to be
yeah.
creative and the courage to try it, right? And to see what really speaks to your audience, right?
Right. Hmm.
And then to have the system built in a smart way so that it is so click friendly and easy, right? To your clients so that they keep on reoccurring. And I love how you said it doesn't take a lot of followers, because and this is what people ask me so frequently. Well, I don't have a huge following. It's like, look, I don't either. And I'm okay with that. Like it's an okay thing. It'll build it and grow it organically. But I'd rather have a solid, smaller group than a larger group of people that aren't people that really care or value the
Right.
product or service, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And
So go ahead.
this past this past couple months, I guess I left this out, but I, right before the pandemic happened, I had the opportunity to, I was welcomed into a space. So it was going to be like myself and another business, and we were going to create this storefront. And it was like this, it felt so right at the time.
Wow.
And then, like a month later, it was like, oh, the guy selling the building and this pandemic is here. So
Wow.
that happened. But to me, like, I don't know if it's the gene I have, or I don't know what it is, but I'm usually someone who, even when there is a challenging time, I feel like I'm very quickly like, my response is, yeah, that sucks, but you readjust. It's like, okay, well, you could say it wasn't meant to be, or you can just be like, I have to pivot and I still can have hope at the end of the day. So that happened, and I took advantage of the space as long as I did have it. And that's really when my online sales went up. I was in there every day and just would go and make as much as I could. I was actively posting a lot. And I think consistently posting on Instagram, or whatever you're using every day, or, maybe it's not every day, maybe it's every 2 days, but like interacting, showing yourself, maybe like showing a little bit behind the scenes of what you're doing or making. Because for me, I think something that is unique that I don't always think about to what I do is that, yes, I have a business, but I'm also this person with like, who's like very dreamy and has a vision. So I've always been like this daydreamer, or maybe I come off that way. But yeah, I think it's just like, I have the motivation too. So like pairing the two together, there's some times where I feel a little, like I could be grounded in the business side a little more, but you have to ask for help, surround yourself with people who not only believe in you, but have skills that maybe you don't have, or can do something that you need to do better. Because what's the point of struggling to do something that you don't want to do? Like, you may as well find someone else to do it for you if you can afford.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. You are so wise beyond your years. I love this. And I can't wait to see of all of this amazingness that's ahead of you. I just love everything about you. And you actually do have the best hair too, as well. So,
so dirty.
My hair looks like that. That beautiful, like just curl set on the shoulder.
I had a market yesterday. So my hair is actually, I was going to shower. That was part of the reason I wanted to do this later.
We look great. Okay. So what are the sleepless nights? Do you have sleepless nights? Like, what's the thing that keeps you up, that like, you just are like, do you ever have those nights in the business that you're just like, oh gosh?
Yeah, I think for me, it's things that I want to do that I haven't done yet. And for me, when I know I'm in like the spot I need to be, is when I'm really in my flow, which to me is like, I almost lose a sense of time.
Yes.
And I'm just kind of like creating, and like things are like, I'm like channeling some message that's going into the jewelry. So there's nights where I'll literally like pop up with like an idea, or, some name or something, and I'll write it down on my phone. I have like, I don't know, probably 500 random notes. I'm that person with a million tabs on their computer.
Yeah, that's me. I'm like, I know. The creativeness, we just can't turn it off, right?
Yeah, there's always a tab somewhere.
I love it.
So I don't know the Sleepless Nights thing. I don't know. Overall, I sleep pretty well. I'm grateful that I go to bed.
But it's good though, because you're waking up with that excitement, that spark, that energy, that like love for the business. It's not like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? How am I going to keep this going? Like, yeah. And that's a fun spark, but it is that giddiness that is hard to sleep because you are so excited. You love what you do. So,
and also I think something that like sometimes I'll spend time worrying about something that I need to do when I really just need to like create an actionable plan to get it done.
Yeah.
I struggle a little bit with that, I think, with like really creating structure around, like, I sometimes surprise myself with how much I do accomplish and get done with the lack of structure I sometimes have in my day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to, tell whoever, but that, I think it should give hope to anyone, because you don't need to be like the most structured person. You don't need to be the most organized person. Like people are putting out there something, and I don't think anyone really has everything or feels in themselves that everything's figured out and like in line at all times.
I think that's so true. And I know I am gaining so much from our conversation here, and just aligning with a lot of the things that you're saying, that I know that a lot of the listeners out there, because no one has the perfect discipline 24/7.
No.
It's just, maybe like 3 days in a row if we're lucky, right? But then it's like
on Thursday, Friday, I'm like, what's happening?
And especially during COVID, it's off the rails.
I know.
It's off the rails.
It really is.
So tell me this. So I just want to know, if you had a magic wand and a big dream, and you could ask the universe anything, what would that be?
That's a really good question. So these are things that pop into my head a lot. I guess I'll just share the whole idea. I have this vision for, it would be like a brick and mortar. Well, first I have two. The first one that I believe is very within reach right now is getting my line sheet together for wholesale. So that's somewhere my business is headed.
Okay.
I don't want to be like slinging, because it's just me right now. So I don't want to be necessarily in 3,000 stores. I want to be in a couple places that like I really want to be. So for me, I'd want to be like maybe have 2 pieces on Free People's like jewelry section, because they buy handmade things and sell them online. I think that would just be like a really cool way to reach like-minded demographic and be in a space that I've always dreamed
I love Free People. Oh my gosh.
Me too. And like anthropology, terrain. So my idea from which is kind of different from this, but the word jaunt is like this word that I think it means like a small pleasurable outing. And that's something that's just a big part of who I am. I love to go on little walks, hikes, whatever, adventures, enjoy the simple pleasures. So I want to have this space that's like really light filled and nature, because my jewelry is nature inspired and comes from a lot of these, I think a lot of my ideas come from these little jaunts I have, where it would have like a latte bar with like seasonal offerings, but it would really be where I could have like my headquarters one day, have some more employees and be making not only like wholesale orders, but just have this like interactive space that has plants and like, I don't know, just be like an experience for someone to come and get their jewelry that would feel like you're like not just in a shop, like you're really experiencing something that evokes all these feelings, connections, wonder.
Yes.
That you're getting from the jewelry. So
yes. And and we're all human, and everyone values an experience.
Totally.
And especially when it's with the ones that are just like your posse, your people, right? That you can like go and be there and live and breathe it. And that's really great. I love the vision.
Thank you.
I love it.
I like want to ask you all these same questions.
I know, like, everybody that is on the interview is like, I just want to know all this about you, Annette. Come on, tell me.
Maybe I need to interview you and take
anytime. Wine, coffee, a hike. I'll do it. A jaunt, whatever. We'll do it.
I love it.
I just made that J French somehow. I don't know. A jaunt? You want a jaunt? Oh, I love it. Okay. So where can we find you? How can we support you? Like, tell us, what can we do for you? Like, we have amazing, amazing people in the audience who love jewelry. And, you know, how can we help you right now? Any ask? Well, first tell us where to find you on Instagram, because that's like fun.
On Instagram, it's at Wild Soul Jewelry. So Wild Soul, SOL, like sun and jewelry. And then online, I'm www.wildsouljewelry.com. And a way you could support me right now, I guess, is to just check it out. And even if it's not something even if it's not something you would wear, maybe you know someone who would love that kind of jewelry, and just pass it along. And then when it comes to the Instagram, it is quite a hodgepodge of things that inspire me, and a lot of like nature and kind of, I guess, intuitive things.
That's great.
But yeah, I don't know. If you have any connections, it's all about connections. So if
right.
you know anyone that's in Free People.
That's right. I know. I'm like trying to think about who we would know.
Yeah.
We're going to find somebody. We always will. If you put it out to the universe, we'll make it happen. You know that, Natalie.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I absolutely adore you. I just can't wait until all of us are together at some really big gathering one day and can just celebrate life and celebrate your growth and where you're going and where you're headed and all of the awesomeness that's around you. Just a good energy, a good vibe. And I know that everyone in the audience gained a lot today. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And holiday season's coming up out there. So if you are looking for some jewelry, you should check her out. I'll post the Instagram. I'll post the website below. And keep evolving, entrepreneurs. I'm so proud of you. And good luck on your evolution, Natalie. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And one more question though. Okay. So when did you know that it wasn't a hobby anymore, right? Because it started as a hobby, that it was a business. Tell me about like that evolution.
Okay. So even when I was a little girl, I would go into surf shops and try to sell them my jewelry when I was like 10 years old. So I think there's always been a side of me that like, it's almost like everything about me knew that that's what I was going to do, but I hadn't yet accepted it as my reality maybe, or really thought it was possible. So I think when I got to my last year of college and I found myself sitting in these classes, which I learned so much, I'm grateful for the experience, all of that. But I found myself sitting in these classes and I felt so different than like most people. The teacher, I felt like I was like I ended up in the office trying to tell her that like, no, just wait. Like, I'm gonna, she's like, okay, jewelry. She had an accent. She's like, jewelry,
right.
But like what school or whatever. And I just remember like, it was just so much. I was checked out in a way where I was dreaming constantly about creating what my name of my business was going to be. And then I had this opportunity for like young makers. And I remember the sign went around like Wilmington downtown, and I was on the sign and I was like, oh my gosh, like I like hung it up, I remember. I love it. So I don't know, I think I just knew that I had to prove to, understandably, like, graduating with a degree, having parents who supported you, who I think really in good intention value maybe wanted me to have stability and have, whatever. I had to really prove, because to them maybe it was a hobby. So I had to say, and I don't know if you want to whatever, but it was a lot of like, okay, well, like I'm going to do this. So if I'm going to do this, then I'm not the kind of person who's going to like, when I'm passionate about something, I'm going to make it happen. So I don't know. I just think all of these parts of me that are so strong that I've always wanted to help others be their full self. It was like, how can I like really make this happen without knowing everything I need to know? So that's why I'm like very big on helping other people tap into whatever their potential is.
I love it. And it was always innately in you.
Always. Yeah.
And then that passion just to drive and prove yourself is what really gets you there and keeps you going. That's amazing. I love it. Wow. What an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@ievolveconsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.